Joint Transbay Powers Authority, who did the initial inspection of these cracks, calls this an isolated incident, but they don't know exactly what caused it. At least they can't tell us.
KPIX5's Wilson Walker joins us now with how they could be so sure. Wilson?
Well, that is, of course, a very good question. So what did we learn today? Well, a second beam right beside the first one is also cracked, quite possibly by the load shift produced by the first beam's failure, but we're still left with the central question in this drama. Just what exactly caused that first beam to fail?
Three possibilities, that's right. Installation, fabrication, and design. And we're looking at three of them.
So let's take these three possibilities in order, starting with installation, basically a scenario in which the beam was somehow damaged before it ever really had to carry that roof weight. And if that's the case, it's kind of good news. We know we're not looking at some larger systemic problem, but if the part was damaged early on, why wasn't that noticed before the beam was covered in fireproofing material?
You'll see the crack, what they saw. Fireproofing was applied in June of 2016.
So why might the beam fail when it starts carrying weight? Well, that brings us to fabrication, and this is a scenario that may sound familiar to you. Okay. Yeah, back in 2013, we were all talking about bad bolts on the New Bay Bridge, a discussion that centered around the incredible complexity of metal, how parts have to be made to the wildly precise demands of a specific job. Well, we now know that there are 4 beams like the 2 that have already failed, but so far, the other 2 look okay.
The similar configuration that we have on Fremont Street, we have it on First Street. And that's the one that we've already inspected and we found to be sound.
So if it was a fabrication issue, it looks like an oddly isolated failure, which leaves that one last possibility that the beam is being asked to perform beyond its intended capacity, or a design flaw in the building itself.
So it basically supports the roof, the bus deck.
And the design flaw scenario, the one avenue where things could actually get much, much worse. It would raise more questions about the building and the ability of the steel to manage whatever engineering flaws might be present. And that is a big unknown tonight, despite assurances like this one.
At this point in time, we don't know what the cause of the crack is. We know the building is safe.
Okay, if you're puzzled by that, the sort of, we don't know what's causing the problem, but we know that it's isolated and we know the building's safe. I will admit, I am right there with you. I'm sort of puzzled by the seeming sort of contradiction in those 2 lines. The folks that I have talked to who know a little bit about this building kind of confess that as well, that you're in sort of a bind there. You're stuck with this mysterious problem in a $2 billion building. You think it might be contained, but how can you be so sure? And, again, like we said last night, there's just so many questions to answer.
Well, the good news is we don't find it widespread across the board in the building. At least that's what they tell us yet. And engineers are trained to design with calculations in mind for load and all those good things. Let's go back to the fabrication scenario itself. What do we know about who made this steel and where it was made?
They gave us a little bit more information on the steel. 7 different steel fabricators were used in the production of this project, all of them American. The pieces in question, however, came from Herrick Steel, which is based in Stockton. They actually produced about 30% of the steel throughout the building. I called them today. They had a very quick no comment.
All right, as expected. All right. Wilson Walker, thank you again very much.